In the time I have left, I want to talk about some social issues.
Okay.
Roe v. Wade, do you think it should be reversed?
I think it should, and I think that states should be able to decide that issue.
It's a critical issue for so many women.
It is.
You believe women should not have that choice?
It is a very critical, very sensitive, and a personal issue also for so many women and men across this nation. I am pro-life. I do respect other people's opinion on this also. And I think that a culture of life is best for America, because I know that we can all agree on the need for and the desire for fewer abortions in America and greater support for adoption, for other alternatives that women can and should be empowered to embrace to allow that culture of life. That's my personal opinion on this, Charlie.
John McCain would allow abortion in cases of rape and incest. You believe in it only in the case where the life of the mother is endangered?
That is my personal opinion.
Would you change and accept it in rape and incest?
My personal opinion is that abortion allowed if the life of the mother is endangered.
Embryonic stem cell research. John McCain has been supportive of it.
We're seeing good progress, and we've got great encouragement with researchers finding adult skin cell research that is proving productive towards curing these diseases.
But doctors tell me that still most promising, we don't know yet about adult stem cells, most promising embryonic stem cells, that's what they need to work with, yes or no?
You know, when you're running for office, your life's an open book, and you do owe it to Americans to talk about your personal opinion, which may end up being different than what the policy in an administration would be. My personal opinion is we should not create human life, create an embryo, and then destroy it for research if there are other options out there.
I'm still not clear. You said people owe it. You said, well, my life's an open book. They need to know what I think.
And I gave you my personal opinion. Creating an embryo and then destroying it, that is not something that personally I support.
I'm sorry. Okay. Homosexuality, genetic or learned?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm not one to judge. And you know, I'm from a family and from a community with many members of many diverse backgrounds, and you know, I'm not going to judge someone on whether they believe that homosexuality is a choice or genetic, and I'm not going to judge them.
Guns. 70% of this country supports a ban on semi-automatic assault weapons. Do you?
I do not, you know, here again, life being an open book here as a candidate. I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. I believe strongly in our Second Amendment rights. That's kind of inherent in the people of my state who rely on guns for not just self-protection, but also for our hunting and for sport also. It's a part of the culture here in Alaska. I've just grown up with that.
Isn't gun violence in America a health issue? We spend billions of dollars a year, every year, treating people who are victims of gun violence. Nothing we can do about that?
Do you think that all of that gun violence, though, is caused by people pulling a trigger who would have followed any law anyway? No, you start banning guns and you start taking away guns from people who will use them responsibly and use them ethically. You put more and more laws on guns and you start taking away a Second Amendment right, it's going to be, Charlie, the bad guys who have the guns, not those who are law-abiding citizens.
And one last thing I want to talk to you about, because there is a great debate going on in this country. And I want to ask you, is it sexist for people to ask, how can somebody manage a family of 7 and the vice presidency? Is that a sexist question to ask?
I don't know. I'm lucky to have been brought up in a family where gender's never been an issue. We had equality in schools. It was just being ushered in with sports and with equal opportunity for education all of my life. I'm part of that generation where that question is kind of irrelevant because it's accepted. Of course you can be the vice president and you can raise a family. When people have asked me when I was governor and I was pregnant, gosh, how are you going to be the governor and have a baby in office too? And I replied back then, as I would today, I'll do it the same way the other governors have done it when they've either had baby in office or raised a family. Granted, they're men, but do it the same way that they do it.
There have been challenges, some say sexist challenges, to Governor Palin's national security credentials as well. So we addressed that subject yesterday with the governor.
Can you look the country in the eye and say, I have the experience and I have the ability to be not just vice president, but perhaps president of the United States of America?
I do, Charlie. And on January 20th, when John McCain and I are sworn in, if we are so privileged to be elected to serve this country, we'll be ready. I'm ready.
When McCain asked you to take the number 2 spot on the ticket, for a moment, did you think no?
I did not. I answered him yes because I have the confidence in that readiness and knowing that you can't blink. You have to be wired in a way of being so committed to the mission that we're on, reform of this country and victory in the war. You can't blink. So I didn't blink then even when asked to run as his running mate.
When I asked John McCain about your national security credentials, he cited the fact that you have command of the Alaskan National Guard and that Alaska is close to Russia. Are those sufficient credentials?
But it is about reform of government, and it's about putting government back on the side of the people. And that has much to do with foreign policy and national security issues. Let me speak specifically about a credential that I do bring to this table, Charlie, and that's with the energy independence that I've been working on for these years as the governor of this state. What I bring in terms of that credential is the know-how, how we can get to energy independence and a greater security for our nation by producing more domestically, by becoming less and less reliant on foreign sources of energy, those being controlled by regimes that do not necessarily like America.
Hey, you guys! Thanks for letting us just come in.
This afternoon, in the familiar setting of our alma mater, Wasilla High School, we had a chance to raise some more local issues.
There's 2 items of serious note that I want to talk to you about, just that involve governorship and mayoralty. There's a lot on the internet about a conversation you did or did not have with the librarian about banning books.
Never banned a book, never desired to ban a book. When I became mayor in our town was the issue of what if a parent came into our local public library and asked for a book to be taken off the shelf, what's the policy? Kind of cracked me up seeing the list of books that I supposedly banned.
Oh, it's forever.
Because,
it's a couple of hundred books.
One of them was Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It wasn't even written or published then.
The other issue is Troopergate, which is very much in the news today. The Associated Press is saying now there's going to be 13 subpoenas that come out, one of them to your husband, Todd. Do you welcome the investigation?
Absolutely. There's nothing to hide in this. The trooper in question here did conduct dangerous and illegal activities. And our personal security detail, when I was first elected, had asked us very appropriately, are there any threats against you and your family? And I said, well, you know, ironically, it's a state trooper who has threatened, to kill my dad.
And he was your brother-in-law at one point.
Yeah, back in '05.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Personnel Board. It's a bipartisan legislative group that's working at it now, which you said was fine until you got named as the vice presidential nominee, and then you said the Personnel Board ought to handle it.
Our state statute says if there is a question about actions of the governor, lieutenant governor, or attorney general, you go to the Personnel Board. So we've said all along that that's appropriate. But the issue that people are asking about was, first they've got it wrong and they say, did I fire a trooper because there was an issue back in '05 about him as he was divorcing my sister? And no, nobody fired the trooper. He's still a trooper. To this day, he's out there. But the issue is the commissioner who was his boss, was he pressured to fire that trooper? That's the underlying issue here, right? Commissioner Monaghan. Commissioner Monaghan has said, the governor never asked me to fire him. The governor's husband never asked me to fire him. And we never did. I never pressured him to hire or fire anybody.
Didn't improperly intercede, not worried about the subpoenas, even to Todd?
No, because I know that Todd, too, never pressured Commissioner Monaghan. He did very appropriately, though, bring up those concerns about a trooper who was making threats against the first family, and that is appropriate.
Sarah Palin has been in this building as a student and a parent and seems just as comfortable here as a candidate.
And this is your trophy, I understand, over here?
One of them must be, we were state champs in '82. Yes,
right here.
We were.
Right here.
And
50 to 48 over East.
It was
and that
a
was
close
the closest game.
It was close, and
Remember how many points you scored?